Well, at the end of my last piece, I was at Northey Park and I had one more session to go before the end of the season. And my end of season, it more fizzled out with a pop than went out with a bang. I fished around the lake, had a little bit of a move up, but as you can imagine, end of the season, very, very busy. And I did fortunately end it with a 22-pound linear. There was a couple of days left after my session ended, and the big common Kitch was caught again. A young lad caught it from a swim called Elliot's, and it was 50 pound 3 ounces, I believe. So that was Northey Park, the end of the season, and I've mentioned that I was going to Burghfield after that. Well, I'd done 2 trips to Burghfield without success. I saw loads of fish showing. Maybe in the 5 nights that I fished there, I probably saw 300 shows, all 250, at least 200 yards out in the out of bounds area. You can't reach them, you can't get there, and it was very frustrating. But as luck would have it, I was offered the opportunity to fish somewhere else. Unfortunately, it's no publicity, so I can't really talk about that. But because of that and the commitments that I have with a diary piece to do and magazine articles to write, I've decided to come back to Northey earlier than planned. And let's just say it started off a lot better than it started last year. And it's to be expected, really. You know, I've come on there in the summer as opposed to the winter, and it's just a completely different lake. Well, I came down just after the opening weekend because they do a draw. They do like you have to do a rud match to enter for the start of the season, and I let the boys get on with that. And I came down a couple of nights into the season. What was apparent was the weights were through the roof. You know, you'd think on a really shallow lake there's potential for them to spawn before the start of the season, but they hadn't. You know, some of the fish had put on 5 pounds from end of season captures to the start of the new one. So they were clearly like some serious motherships swimming around full of eggs, and it was a good chance. You know, Kitch has got proper form for an early season capture. So initially I came down and I dropped into Elliot's, the swim where it came out at the end of the season, and also one that it came out at the start of the season last year from. And I thought it was as good a place as any to drop on. It was overcast, wind was blasting across. You know, weren't really going to see any fish cruising about or anything like that in those weather conditions. So I dropped in there, had a good plumb round. Nothing really happened. Didn't catch anything overnight. But in the morning, the sun come out really, really strong and started to make out sort of the odd vortex and swirl over the shallow area. And I moved round into a swim called the Point, and I was sort of dotting between there and a swim called the Beach, really shallow water. You know, you could wade out for 40, 50 yards. It's like knee deep. But they were clearly getting ready to spawn. You know, you're sort of swimming around with each other, not spawning, but swimming around with each other. And that afternoon I caught, I think it was like probably a scraper 20, like common / koi. It was a common but with black orange fins, you know, so a mad little gnarly little thing that was curling up like a banana on the unhooking mat. And then after that, just into dark, I had a 28-pound mirror, and then in the middle of the night at about, I think it's about 3 a.m, a rig that was, it couldn't have been in no more than 18 inches of water. It just shredded off on a single tiger nut, and it was a fish known as the Amazon and weighed 43 pounds. You know, at the end of the season, I think that fish was 36, 37, so it was clearly carrying, and you can see in the photos that it's absolutely bulging at its ultimate biggest. And yeah, it's a great way to start the season. I think I caught one more after that in the morning. It was a 22-pound linear. So yeah, 2 nights and catch 4 fish, and I actually lost one after the last one that I caught. So I was really, really pleased with that. And then since then, I've come back this trip live for the cameras, and just before Gary came down to do the filming, during the night I caught a 23-pounder. I'd fished out towards these lily pads, and I was seeing a lot of bubbling around out there. Flung out my old naked chod rig, and yeah, caught a 23-pounder. And then in the morning, Gary was on his way down, and I had another one, and that one came from a gravel spot in amongst thick weed. I'd gone out there in the boat, I put a cane down just at the back of this gravel spot, gone back to the bank, cast out, clipped up, straight onto this stick, getting like immense crack down right next to it. And then I went back out there, took the cane out, but at the same time put a load of tigers and hemp out there, and that rod rattled off this morning with, that was a scraper 20-pound linear, and Gary got a little bit of footage of that, which I'm sure you'll see over the top of this. Since then, that swim looked really dead. I had to go out in the boat for both of those fish, one in the evening, one in the morning, and it just looked dead out there. So we decided to have a little bit of a walk round, had a mooch about, and I had no idea that they'd moved down into the middle of the lake because the activity that I'd seen had been that way. And when we went round the far side, I saw a couple of backs came out, and decided to come into a swim called Boise's. Again, it's got great form for the big one. Ideally I don't want to catch it just yet because it's probably down to low 40s, but I still wanted to get to know this swim a little bit, and fortunately someone had stuck a cane out in the middle of the lake, and I don't know if the clear spot was left, right, centre, behind or forward, but slammed out a naked choddy right next to this stick because I'd seen a fish brush up against it in the morning and hadn't been out there too long at all when it shredded off. The fish went round the cane and was like bolting 20 yards to the right of it. Line was on the left of it. It was grating and grating and grating, and I managed to get him back round my side, and then he came into a bit of weed, pulled him in. He nearly beached on some really shallow ground out there, but a frantic bit of hand lining at the end, and we got him in. It's the two-tone mirror, a little bit down in weight on his probably his best. He was 32.5, but yeah, I'm pleased as punch with that. And so yeah, that's us up to speed as for Northie at the moment. I'm going to be coming each week for a night or two at a time. I've got loads of filming to do this summer, what with the masterclass and thinking tackle, so I don't know how much of my own fishing I'm going to get to do, but I'm sure it's probably more than most people, and I'm sure they'd love to be in my position. But yeah, that's where we are at the moment. So yeah, we'll end it there, and hopefully have a few more to show you next time.